my name is Paul. In this video, I'm going to do some bacon wrapped steaks. They're called bacon wrapped fillets on the package. And they're very tasty and they're easy to do. There's essentially no preparation. You just cut them out of the package and put them in the oven, presuming the package is thawed, of course, which I will do in this since I didn't do what I normally do, which is if I'm going to have a steak, the day before, I'll take the steak out of the freezer, I'll put it into the refrigerator, and I'll let it sit for at least 24 hours. It'll sit in the refrigerator and it'll thaw. And that is the best way to thaw meat. It never lets the meat get below, whatever, 38 degrees, 40 degrees, whatever your refrigerator is. The meat never gets any warmer than that. You are not putting the meat in a condition where it's sitting in relatively warm temperatures and bacteria can get to it. The second best is what I did, which is I take the meat, put it in a pan of cool water or even warm water, and let it sit for half an hour. That softens it up, so it makes it cook better. Anyway, here we go. So, what am I going to need to do this? Okay, first, obviously, I'm going to need some of the bacon wrapped fillets. These come in a package of 2 5-ounce steaks for $4.95 at ALDI, which I think is an excellent value. These are nice enough steaks that when they're cooked you could serve like if you were meeting someone special. Normal practice would be to leave these in the refrigerator for 24 hours, but I didn't think of it at the time. So the optional practice is to do this. I need either a bowl or I need a pan. Either one will work. What I'm going to do is fill it with water, put these steaks into the pan, and let it sit there for half an hour. The idea is it helps. That's how you thaw them in a hurry. If you're going to cook them right away, you don't do that and let them sit, or else if you're going to do that, put it in the refrigerator afterwards. But the normal method is to put it in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours and it'll thaw on its own without being dangerous. This is the second best way, since I'm going to cook it immediately after I thaw it. It's not going to sit out, so it's not going to get a problem. You're also going to need a cookie sheet or some other item to put in the oven to put the steaks on top of while they're cooking. You're also going to need aluminum foil because that cookie sheet will be filthy, and if you put a fresh steak on there, when the steak cooks, it's going to release some of its juices all over the place, and it'll coat the pan with more grease again. So then you either got to clean the pan, or you take the aluminum foil, peel it off, and throw it away. And that's a whole lot easier for, I guess, a $2 roll of aluminum foil. It may not even be that much. I don't even remember. I just bought it. I'm also going to need a knife. Be serious. I need a sharp knife. That's okay, but that's for cutting the steak. I need something sharp enough to open a plastic package. That's much better. This is a razor knife. This is a really sharp blade. The flat end is razor sharp. We will need the other knife though. We will need this knife though, because I need to cut the steak. I could use the razor knife instead of steak knife, but I prefer to keep the razor knife as a utility knife rather than an eating knife. You're going to need a pair of tongs. Okay, first, these are okay. They came in a set of 4 or 5 pieces of plastic cutlery with a large spoon, a ladle, and a couple other items for like $4 or $5 at IKEA. This is too small because it's not big enough. You could probably put it sideways, but it's not big enough. It won't extend far enough, so I'm not going to use these. I can either use these, the tongs I have here, or I can use these. I have better results with the grabbing tongs, so I'm going to use these need a fork to hold the meat while I'm eating it. Steak sauce. I found this one. This is also at ALDI. I found this is a nice steak sauce. It's probably similar to Worcestershire, but I found that it works very nicely. It gives just a slight pop to the meat. I can actually eat the meat without any sauce on it, but this just gives it a little extra flavor. It's not like, oh, one time I wanted to shoot my brother, even though I don't own a gun. Not literally, because we got him a real nice steak. We got like all three when I was visiting my sister once. We got all of us got a steak, and so what happens is that he goes for the ketchup. Ketchup should not be put on steaks. This is ridiculous. Ketchup is for hamburgers and hot dogs. And anybody that says that you shouldn't put ketchup on a hot dog, please send me your name and address so I can have you killed. Thank you. I take ketchup on hot dogs very seriously, although I don't eat them that often. I tend to eat the ones I get at 7-Eleven. I usually get with chili cheese and sometimes sauerkraut and onions. I'm going to need a plate to put the steaks on after I finish. Okay, let's get started. Okay, fill the pan or bowl with water. Warm, cold, it doesn't matter. As long as you're going to cook the steak immediately after you thaw it. This is not recommended, but it does in a pinch, because I'm going to put it immediately in the oven after I thaw it, so there's not going to be any chance for serious bacteria to get on it. Besides, I am going to thaw it in the package. Okay, anyway, that's about full. We're going to take the steaks and put them into the package to soak, and they are they were, or I thought they were completely submerged. Well, sometimes you can. I don't know if you can see that. Here, the steaks are floating in water. So what I need to do now is come back in a half an hour, and the water will absorb a lot of the cold. It'll cool off the water and thaw the steaks enough that I can put them into the oven. It tends to work better that way. I don't know if it's really necessary, but it works better for me. So anyway, I'll come back in half an hour. Now that the steaks have been soaking in the water for roughly an hour, I meant to do it for half an hour, but I went to go watch a YouTube video. Anyway, I'm going to press the bake button, and I'm going to set it to 375. Okay. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to let that run for a few minutes, and then when it finishes preheating, then I'll come back and put the steaks in. For the pan, on this aluminum foil, you need basically enough. What you want is enough aluminum foil so that whatever the steak bleeds, it will more or less cover. If it's a little too much, you wasted a little, it's not a big deal. By the way, in case you don't know, when they make aluminum foil, they compress two pieces through the machine. Where the two pieces touch each other, that's the dull side. The outside is the shiny side. That's why aluminum foil is dull on one side and shiny on the other. That's the dull side. It doesn't matter. Both are identical. The only difference is the dull side was pressed against another piece of aluminum foil when it was coming out of the roll. So now you know a little bit about aluminum foil. Here we have the two steaks after having sat in the water, and they are much softer than they were before. So now what I'm going to do is open these, and for that, this is a really serious piece of plastic. To open it, I've got to go to the back, to the thin spot. This piece of plastic right here is very thin, but you still need a fairly sharp knife to cut it. And so anyway, I'll focus in on that so you can see how that's done. Okay, anyway, take the knife and push it on the edge of the plastic. And then what you do is, it'll often bleed anyway, it's just basically you push it into the edge of the plastic, just inside, so it's just on the edge. Then, well, it would help if I turned it with the sharp edge, which is the flat end. Most major knives, the curved side is the flat. Anyway, you can see it's just cutting through the plastic quite easy. Well, easy enough. The stove has now just told me that it's ready to put the meat in. Okay. So now I'm going to show you close up. See if I can bring this in a little closer. The knife goes into the package and just pushes down into the plastic, and then it just spins around the edge. That's a little tricky, then just push it back in. Or you can go this way, although I don't recommend moving a knife towards yourself. You can't just pick another spot. What is you can feel where it becomes much softer, where the plastic isn't there. And if necessary, turn the package and just roll it around. The package kind of pushes, or you don't get a response, then you're pushing on the hard plastic instead of the small steel area. And we get this a little bit here, so I'm just gonna cut it off. Oh, that's gonna be too much trouble. Cut it off there then. Well, if it's close to come off. Anyway, the whole idea is that when I tip this over, they should just fall out. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Now I have two very nice steaks ready to go into the oven. Anyway, I'm going to open the oven. I'm going to put the two steaks into the oven. Try making sure there are on the plastic. Close the door. Okay. Now, anyway, push the bake time button. I'm going to turn this on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 35 minutes. So anyway, now I'll come back to this in 35 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to go open. Well, first I'm going to turn off the alarm so it doesn't keep beeping at me. And now, after about 35 minutes, it's actually been a couple minutes longer because I had to set my camera again. After I came back from waiting for the food to cook, it's come out very nice. So you can see how nice those look. Using my tongs in one hand and my plate in the other, these look beautiful. Now, clean up for this. Just throw this in the trash. You take the foil with tongs, and it just goes right in the trash. cut a piece of this. Just look, I don't know if you can see the juice there just drooling out of it. You'll notice it's a reasonable, and look at that. Inside, it's, you know, it's cooked medium. It's all, you know, it's all gray inside, so it's not undercooked. Okay, here's the piece of meat. See if I can bring this into focus. You can see what it looks like. And of course the camera is just on range. Okay, here's the piece of meat. First, I'll admit that piece was too big. I should have cut it about half that. I should have cut that piece in half and had the half a piece, because it took a long time to chew. It's a pretty good sized piece for that size steak, but it was delicious. It's perfect. It's not burned. It's not raw. The bacon is good. I'm not even a bacon fan, but this really makes the steak pop. Now, notice that I forgot my steak sauce. Pour a little steak sauce on, not a whole lot. Yeah. Just enough so I can get a bit of a taste on it. That may be more than I needed, but it'll do for now, just to do this one taste. So now, take my knife and cut a much smaller piece than I did the last time, so I don't spend 30 minutes chewing the piece. That's a good sized piece. The steak is delicious even without sauce on it. The sauce just gives it a little pop. Okay, I do 35 minutes to get, I guess, medium. If you like it done more, you can try a little more. I found 35 minutes to be perfect for me. It's utterly delicious, and there's essentially no prep other than you just gotta preheat the oven and cut the package open. That's it. Anyway, my name is Paul, and this steak is delicious. Thank you for watching.